So we're back for number 2, episode
Yeah.
number 2, and we're on the American whiskies this time.
Yeah, not exactly the same types, but American nonetheless.
Yeah, so first up, we've gone for my pick, which is Old Forester, 86. Bourbon.
Yep.
Claiming.
Smells quite nice.
Smells very bourbony.
Well, yeah.
Which is what I like.
Fancy that.
So that's good.
Yeah, so that's the one thing, isn't it? That I feel like last time out, because we did the Irish whiskey, and that's something that I generally drink more.
Yeah.
I feel like this is more your kind of area.
I tend to play about with a few more bourbons. So bourbons, Buffalo Trace, Wild Turkey, Jack Daniel's, Jim Beam, all the kind of ones you can get hold of readily in any shop.
That's the other thing, isn't it? With it being sort of an American thing, having to be imported and all that, tends to be a bit of a limited range unless you're spending a lot of money. Yeah.
So this one was around 20 quid on Amazon. It said claiming to be oldest distillery in America, Brown Forman. It is 151 years old. Made a few notes here. And it was used during Prohibition for medicinal purposes, which is always
It was either that or leeches, I suppose.
It's always good, isn't it?
Bottoms up. Right then, let's have a try. Cheers. You know what that reminds me of? A bit abstract now.
Go on.
That reminds me of something you'd have at Christmas.
Oh, does it really?
Bit of a, I probably wouldn't be having that year round, but it's just something you'd crack open.
In terms of it tasting a bit like Christmas, or just a bit of a special occasion type drink?
Probably more like the sort of the former. Like it tastes. I don't really place it. I can't really figure out what that taste is, but some kind of nostalgia of me probably drinking too much on Christmas has gone by probably in there. But
drinking a bourbon probably that you didn't realise.
Possibly, yeah. That'll probably be it. It's probably just I associate that flavour now with.
It tastes bourbon to me.
Yeah, it's quite nice.
It's got that caramelly char, from the barrels.
Because, like I say, I'm not really a bourbon drinker. I've had Jack Daniel's in the past and gone, no, not really for me. But that's obviously heresy to anybody who actually drinks bourbon. I'm sure that's probably like going into a pub and having a Carlton and saying, you know what, all beer, not for me.
Yeah, that's it.
So I think that's probably be me being unfair on basically an entire drink.
Yeah.
And now I've actually tasted one that's not horrible. It's quite nice.
Yeah, well,
quite smooth.
That's what I was thinking. It is quite smooth. It's still quite a young one. The 86 is aged 4 years, 43%. But I think that's why I like bourbons, because you don't just get the harsh upfront alcohol taste, and obviously hardened, seasoned whiskey drinkers would probably say, oh, well, you're not tasting it right. But for the bourbons, you do get that caramelly, char, toasty sort of flavour, which, it doesn't just punch you in the mouth as soon as you try it for the first time. You've got a little bit to think about up front. Do you know what I mean?
Like a lot of whiskies can't they? They can be very much a sit up and take notice kind of thing. Whereas this is, something you could probably see myself having a few of them in an evening.
Well, like we said last time, you've got half a bottle now to use up.
Exactly, yeah. And if last time's anything to go by, then one of the drinks went almost immediately.
Yeah.
Partly because my wife realised she liked it as well.
Oh.
Which didn't help. But then the other one kind of stuck around, and up to like day prior to recording this. So
Yeah.
So if I'm saying this one's really nice, possibly doesn't bode too well for my choice then, but we'll see.
Well, that was the Old Forester 86, and that was, like I said, claiming to be from an old distillery. It's got that sort of, claim to heritage type thing, doesn't it? Whereas the next one is Bowsaw whiskey, and that seems to be a newer whiskey. A very nice bottle.
Yeah, I'll be honest. It was the fact it was on special, and the fact that it looked quite nice. It was quite eye-catching. That's why I went for it. So, I mean, you were educating me a little bit on it before, but this is not a bourbon.
No.
This one is a corn whiskey. Now, don't really know what the difference is myself. I mean, I was calling it Bonesaw for a while as well instead of Bowsaw.
It's a little bit confusing. Yeah, so I did make a couple of notes. The bourbons, obviously, they are at least 51% corn, and they're aged in new charred oak barrels. That's by law in America what determines that. Whereas this one is, I think I did have a little look at it, and I tried to have a little research. 91% corn, this one. And it's an independent bottler, Kirker and Greer, which I think is Irish.
Yep. Belfast, it says on the bottle.
So this one is I'm a little bit unsure about actually where it comes from, where it's made, but it is bottled over in Europe.
I mean, short of the bottle telling me a few times that it's a Kentucky whiskey.
Yeah.
We've narrowed it down to a state. That's as far as we're going to get, I think.
Yeah. And so by the sounds of it, I mean, I'm no expert, but by the sounds of it, the American laws are slightly more relaxed in terms of corn whiskey and standard American whiskey.
What you can and can't get away with then.
Yeah.
This one says that it is also aged 4 years in American oak barrels, for what that's worth.
I don't think there's any restriction on what it needs to be aged in.
No.
It smells like it might be a bit sweet.
Let's have a go. Yeah, there's not a lot of smell to that, I don't think.
No, the previous one, the Old Forester, smelt to me like it was going to be strong and upfront, harsh.
Yeah.
But when tasting it, it wasn't. Whereas this, quite light and smells quite sweet.
It's a very different flavour.
It's sweet.
It is sweet. There's a little bit of harshness on that sort of back end, I think, for me there. But yeah, it is very sweet. It's very different. I mean, realistically, all you got to do is look at the colour of the two of them, and you could tell that they were probably going to be quite different.
Yeah.
But
I think you got that sweetness, but you're getting that corn,
I'm just sitting here thinking the same thing. I'm thinking, because I know it's a corn whiskey, am I pulling that through in my mind, or is it actually quite almost like I say, sweet corn, sort of that kind of flavour?
Yeah, sweet, like the earthiness you get off a sweet corn after the initial sweetness. Interesting, that one.
I don't think I've ever had anything like that before.
No, I've never had a corn whiskey before, I don't think. Very sweet up front. You think it's light, but then afterwards you get that earthy.
Yeah, sort of a little bit of kickback.
Yeah. But not too bad.
No. I mean, it will get drunk.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It sits there long enough. You keep looking at it. You go back for more, won't you?
Well, eventually you'll tell me we're doing the next one, and then I'll be like, oh, best get it drunk then.
I'll get rid of them. Yeah. Not too bad. I quite like both of them.
Yeah, I think if I had to pick one, I'd probably go with the Old Forester.
Oh. We're bringing you over to the bourbon side, are we?
Yeah. Which I feel like I think I probably picked out the better of the two last time.
Yeah.
And you've probably picked out the better of the two this time. So
It's funny actually because it wasn't planned at all either time, but you kind of went for was it you? Well, we mutual last time, wasn't it? But we went for a new and an old, well established with the heritage and the claims to being God knows how old, and then another one that was fairly new, or in the Pogue's case, maybe a little bit of novelty almost, but. We've gone new and old again for some reason, but
that's worked out oddly in that way. Although I think as well, both times you've probably gone for the older one, or at least I have anyway.
Yeah. And to be honest, I said I've read up a little bit about each one just because I've got a bit of something to talk about in between sips, but it's mainly dictated by price. This,
largely,
we say, let's do an American one. And then we start shopping about and sending each other screenshots of things we've found on Amazon or whatever. And usually whatever's within the lower price range we sort of find. But I mean...
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, somebody in the comments can sort of pop up and say, if you really like an American whiskey, try this one. It's £100 a bottle. It's another £100 to get it over from the States. It's like, cool.
We're gonna struggle on a couple of them, aren't we? But as we progress, hopefully, we might be able to revisit the American, and we'll come back at the next. Obviously, all these seem to have, especially Old Forester seems to have different strengths and different types and cask strength and all that kind of stuff. So we could always revisit.
That's true.
Depending on obviously.
It's another one as well, eventually we're going to get to like Scotch whiskey and that kind of thing. And from my experience with them, it's very much you get what you pay for kind of thing. So
I mean, we've started off doing 2 per episode, just to kind of get through it. And then we split it between us, and we've both got a decent haul of whiskey to go at for a couple of weeks. But when we start to move on to things like that, we might have to think about just doing 1 per episode, and we'll just try one. Maybe. We'll go halves on it or something,
sounds more like a plan.
Until somebody reaches out and says, "Hey, we'll pay you."
You don't even need to pay us. Just send us the whiskey.
Send us the whiskey. That's payment enough. Yeah. So we'll wait for that day. But until then, okay then. So we didn't do it on the last one. I think he got a little bit excited and just getting it up and running and getting talking about it. So for this one, then, as an enthusiastic amateur, as we've said in the past, what sort of scoring would you give these two in terms of recommending them to somebody else who might be in a similar position to us who hasn't tried
them? Okay, so like out of 5?
We'll go out of 5, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say 4 for the first one.
Let's go.
And 3, I think, for the second one.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
I
think I'd join you on that, yeah.
It's all right. We're in agreement there. That was fairly painless.
Yeah. I mean, that Bowsaw, though, to be honest, the more I'm drinking it, the more I'm getting.
Well, I find that with all whiskey, to be honest, mate.
Sweet corn that isn't difficult to, throw down your neck.
Like I say, I find that with all whiskey, like it can be pretty awful. If I'm halfway down, I'm like, well, it's getting better.
This is okay, yeah.
But, okay, I do see what you mean. Actually, as I am getting down, it is getting easier. Maybe it's one you need to just work your way into a rhythm with it.
Yeah.
Which again, maybe an issue with the bourbon. I said before, I could see myself enjoying that a few times. But if you've had 2 or 3, and you might be like, it's getting a bit much now.
Too much now.
Yeah. Who knows?
Well,
I have to report back after.
We can only
after
practice
a long night on it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Not disappointed with either of them. Same as first episode, really. So that's good. Okay. What do we say at the end of each episode? Do you remember?
Everybody at home, Don't forget to empty your decanter.
Thank you.